Assalamualaikum and a very good day. My name is Muhamad Adil Adham by Fata. My matric number is 196374. Today I will tell about one of the worst oil spill disaster, which are Deepwater horizon oil spill. The content I will talk about history, what happened, factors, action taken, impacts, lesson learned, and conclusion. Firstly, for the history, Deepwater horizon is ultra deepwater, dynamically positioned semi-submersible offshore drilling rig owned by Transocean. It was built in 2001 in South Korea by Hyundai Heavy Industry. It located at North Central Gulf of Mexico in the United States. What actually happened on the night of the incident? It happened on 20 April 2010 and sank on 22nd April 2010, caused by wellhead blowout. The casualty is 11 people were killed and 70 people injured. It was the largest marine oil spill in the history of petroleum industry, estimated to be much larger than previous oil spill, which also happened in Gulf of Mexico. Around 4.5 million barrels cover more than 6,000 to nearly 200,000 kilometers square. So in detail, on the night of 20 April 2010, a surge of natural gas blast through a concrete core. So the natural gas under very high pressure shoot on the drilling platform and causing explosion and fire. An attempt was made to activate the blowout preventer, but it failed. As a result, on the morning of 22nd April, Deepwater horizon sank. The resultant oil spill continued until 15 July when it was closed by a cap. Relief wells were used to permanently seal the well, which was declared effectively dead on 19 September 2010. 11 were killed and another 70 workers were injured out of 126 crew members. This oil spill took 87 days to get under control. Next, what caused this oil spill? Okay, the first cause is cement failure by a breakdown of the cement at the well foundation, which was expected to hold oil and gas inside the bore. Secondly, POP malfunction. The pipe had bent under the weight of the rising gas and oil, causing the system to fail. And thirdly, natural gas was pushed onto the drilling platform under extreme pressure, resulting in explosion and fire that killed 11 crew members. Lastly, the cause is by violation of regulation. British Petroleum and Contractor should have operate in safe manner and conduct reliable tests of well pressure. The action taken to prevent this disaster is by use physical barrier. Firstly, this method is used to control the spread of the oil because oil tends to float on the surface of water and spread out, forming thin slick. So cleanup workers surround the thin slick tin with floating boom to keep it from spreading to harbors or beaches. Next method is use skimmer, which is a device for recovering spilled oil from the water space. Only about 2 to 4% of oil was recovered by using this method. The third method is solvent, which insoluble material or mixture of material used to recover liquid. This solvent is either adsorbed oil or adsorbed oil. The main type are natural, organic, inorganic, or synthetic solvent. This type will depend on the particular spill, as some type of solvent work based on different type of oil and under different weather condition. Next method is burn the oil away. Because oil is composed of flammable molecule, so one way to rid them is start a controlled burn at the ocean surface. Around 5 to 6 oil from the horizon spill was removed by controlled burning. And the last method is by use depressant, which is a chemical that break down the oil into a smaller particle that mix with water more easily. It used to prevent from forming thin slick. Often used when cleanup workers want to stop thin slick from forming and spreading the protected area. And in this disaster, cleanup workers treated the oil with over 1.4 million gallons of various chemical dispersant. So from my point of view, this disaster can be prevented if we conduct a thorough safety check when the shift change. Ensure that signs and labels are in the correct area and communicate hazard and procedure begin before the next shift begins. Next, conduct machine and operational maintenance more regularly and develop effective quality assurance and mechanical integrity program. This method was revealed that major accidents experienced in the oil and gas industry are triggered by inadequate maintenance. Also, piping failure and chemical release due to poor maintenance are predominant causal factor of 38% of accidents in the petrol industry. And lastly is increase the number of workers during night shift or shorten the working shift hour so that the workers can get a better rest. Long work hours, shift work, and psychosocial stressor has led to an adverse mental and physical health outcome and a lack of sleep, which lead to a fatigue. So impact of the oil spill is firstly to the marine life. The spill water contained 50 times more polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon than before the spill. The toxic from oil spill can cause irregular heartbeat leading to cardiac arrest. In 2012, almost half of the shrimp found lacking ice and eye socket and fishes with oozing sores and lesions. Pregnant dolphins were found to have a higher incidence in uterine infection, fatal issue, and late-term pregnancy failure. In 2016, it reported that 88% of more than 300 baby dolphins within the spill area had abnormal or underdeveloped lungs. Next, impact on birds. The birds were vulnerable to the oil effect and many are perished due to oil spill when ingesting oil as they tried to clean themselves. As example, the brown pelican, which is an endangered species, was among the species most affected by the spill. Nearly 1 million birds were died due to this oil exposure, and even the egg produced by the bird also contained some amount of compound that were traceable to the oil spill. Next, impact on the beaches. It affected between more than 600 and 103,000 miles of coastline around the Gulf of Mexico. It caused the erosion of land with the oil led to the death of most of the flora. Mineral and metals such as mercury and arsenic deposited by the oil cause harm to the both wildlife and human. The dispersion may oil sink faster and more deeply into the beaches, but it may affect to the groundwater supply in that area. Lastly, its impact on human health. More than 100 cases have been reported and 108 cases involved workers in the cleanup effort, and 35 were reported by the Gulf residents. For the workers, they show a respiratory system including wheezing and shortness of breath. For children, they have symptoms like bleeding ears, nosebleeds, and the early start of menstruation among girls. Exposure with skin contact, inhalation of the contaminated air or soil, and ingestion of the contaminated water or food. And the molecular metabolite can be eliminated from the body, which cause serious long-term effect. Okay, the lesson we can learn from the disaster is we can now understand the chemistry and microbiology of the deep and shallow ocean ecosystem and their response to environmental change. It also allows scientists to study how carbon-containing molecules behave in ocean. Next, a need of the sympathetic environmental improvement where there are regulation and improved cleanup plans. Fourthly, improve rig design to limit fume exposure and ignition points to avoid fire. Next, we need a fast cleanup response so that we can prevent more damage to the environment. And lastly, recognize and controlling the hazard for workers on oil and gas rigs is the key to preventing injury and loss of life. So, how offshore worker can help improve health and safety? By using human factor analysis and classification system for the oil and gas industry framework, we can analyze human casual factor of accident by using 4 C's of health and safety culture. Firstly, control. Coordinated action by all members of organization can control risks and safe working. Secondly, competence. Competent to carry out both their normal duty and any specific safety roles. Thirdly, cooperation. Workers of several different employers have to work closely together and thus need to cooperate with each other. And lastly, communication. It's essential to have clear communication. Lastly, as a conclusion, 11 workers lost their life and the environment and economy of the Gulf region were damaged. It also damaged public confidence in both the offshore oil and gas industry and the federal regulatory process. The company should find ways to minimize oil spill by technology development, personal training, and management system. So the health and safety issue of oil and gas rigs should be prioritized and taken seriously. Hence, the company and related authorities should learn from previous incidents in planning the design of the facility and safe working system and preparing safe working procedure. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.